Hey, what's going on, everybody? It looks like we did get a correction last night, and since then we got a bounce back to the upside. Basically, what I said in yesterday's video is this structure here looks to me like a flat pattern. And what a flat pattern is, right? You have this pump, this decisive impulse to the upside. You have a top, you pull back, and then instead of continuing that decisive pump, what happens? You sort of grind your way through the top, right? All this resistance in here. So you could draw a trend line right there. Resistance, resistance, right? Chop, chop, chop. You're grinding, grinding, grinding. And then you get up here and you can't go, right? Then you try it again. You get up here and you can't go. So what happens? This was a fake out, right? And I've been talking about this. I even mentioned it in yesterday's video, which is an A, B, and a C. Now C can be done, right? It could be finished. It could be a running flat, or it can come all the way back down to the low and be a regular flat, or it can continue going down and be an expanded flat. Boom, 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 then go. Right? Usually expanded flats are very vicious and quick, so we'll know. But look at this. We got a pump back to the upside. The question is the correction over? I was honestly hoping for more, but hey, we got a flat. So if we continued, we pumped here, we pump up, maybe we get a little pullback, right? This is wave one, maybe we get a wave two, then we continue grinding our way up. Fine. Then that was the correction. And the correction lasted from here all the way to here. So that was Bitcoin's consolidation, correction, whatever you want to call it. That's what it was. That's what we got, right? I'm hoping for something bigger. I'm hoping for something that takes a little bit more time, right? Why? Because look at this. When you look at the 4-day chart, or let's go to the 2-day chart, it really doesn't look like anything happened, right? I mean, it looks like it's barely beginning the correction. I mean, just for example, look at this. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 days of correcting. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of correcting, right? So up here, right, you only have this is the 2-day chart, so I didn't mean days, I mean candles. So right up here you have 3 candles, right? But it is we did get bought back up, so that's the thing. If I were to guess, let's look at the smaller time frame. So we have 1, 2, 3, right? And we also have 1, 2, 3. So we have a 3-wave move. The question is this going to be some type of diagonal in wave C where we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 5 gets down here, or is this reversal? Is this a reversal territory? It could be. I mean, it looks very impulsive. Going to the 20-minute chart, we got an impulse to the upside. So far, it's 3-wave-ish, right? We have 1, 2, 3. But you can argue that this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, right? And now we're in that 3rd wave. So, maybe a pullback, back test this area. And you can tell, I was looking at it early this morning, and I was like, hey, that looks like an inverse head and shoulders right there. And sure enough, you see your shoulder, you see your head, you see your shoulder, and then boom, we broke out. So what is the measured move of that? Well, if I do it from the wick to the top to the neckline, and then I bring this back over here, it is approximately 71,797, and right now we're at 70,112, right? So if I did it from the base of the candle, right, so the close of the candle to the close, then we already passed. I'm sure we've already passed it, or no, actually we're right there. Yeah, we passed it by a smidge. So yeah, anywhere between this black line and this black line here. So yeah, that's that short-term play. And then from there, right, if this is going to be a true reversal, what you want to see is, because I don't know if it's going to be reversal, right? What I did say yesterday was that this looks totally, and I've been talking about this since we were back over here, that this could be a flat pattern. And sure enough, that's exactly what it looks like, right? Everybody got too bullish up here. That's where I was saying, hey, look, we need a correction, right? This will be a good thing. We did get a pullback. You know, we were at, doesn't look like much, but we were at 73,804, and we pulled all the way down to 65,584. We had an $8,200 correction. So basically, you know, an $8,000 correction. So the question is that enough? Is that enough? That's 11% right there. So that's not bad. That's pretty good. You know, I would like to see, you know, that 15%, and then I would feel a little bit better. But hey, you know, you got 10%, 11%, maybe it's over with. I don't really think so. I mean, anything can happen. Like, this is not financial advice. It's all based off probabilities, right? And when we got up here, the reason I said it's probable is because the way it looked. We had this decisive pump to the upside, this quick move to the downside, which was a liquidity, you know, it was a run on liquidity, right? And then we quickly recovered, but we didn't recover like this or like this down here. We recovered in this chop, 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 resistance, resistance, resistance. That told me, hey, it's looking corrective, right? You know, people think corrections are to the downside. No, yes, that's true, but corrections are also, you know, to the upside. The price can correct to the upside, right? Because look at this liquidity dump right here. This is a massive liquidity. I think someone said that liquidity run, even though the market cap is higher on this, was bigger than that of FTX. I've heard rumors. So if that's the case, and we had that big liquidity drop, so you know, this monster liquidity dump that people bought the dip, right? That was a pretty, and I think it happened like less than 2 minutes or something like that. It happened pretty quick. So people jumped on it, right? And they bought the dip, right? And what happened was the price then corrected back to the upside, and it even broke this top, right? But then once it broke, look what happened. So let me take everything off the screen, and I'm gonna put it right there. You can see here's the line, right? We broke it, and then bam, we back tested it. Okay, everything looks great, right? We broke the top, and then we had this engulfing candle. But then notice these are where the problems started to lie, right in here. And I'm only saying this, right? People say we just want to know where it's going to go and when it's going to go. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. You know, my channel is trying to give you the tools to sort of discover these things on your own, to sort of get into that mindset of how and what to look for during these times, right? So, I mean, I know like one comment said, responding to my bullishness, right? I'm from the macro front, I am bullish. I've stated that many, many times. And someone said, well, when's it going to happen? And I'm like, I haven't responded. And I'm like, it's been happening. Where have you been? Bitcoin's broken out into a new all-time high. So I'm not sure, like, when, what are you talking about? We have, look at the price of Theta. We broke above a massive Wyckoff accumulation range. So they're saying, well, when's this going to happen? It's happening now. It's happening right now. So I'm not sure, I don't know, when I don't really like to respond to comments that don't really have a full understanding of how analysis work, because most people, but by the way, I would say 99% of all the comments are gracious, grateful, and express much gratitude, and I'm very appreciative of all the amazing comments. But every now and then you get a comment that just makes you scratch your head. But that's not my channel, that's every channel. The more you grow your channel, the more, I wouldn't say trolls, because I don't call them trolls. They're just people like me and you giving their opinion. Some of them might be hateful, some of them might be, vicious, some of them might be true, right? And I don't care. I appreciate all feedback. So whatever it is, it is. And I just wanted to respond publicly and say, responding to a comment saying, and it was fine. It was an honest comment, perfectly fine, saying, responding to my bullishness. I said, on the macro front, we're bullish, right? And then he replied to me. He says, yeah, but when? If you don't give a time, eventually you will be right, because if you don't give a timetable, right, you have to give a timetable. And I'm like, I didn't respond because I'm thinking, well, yeah, it's happening now. I don't know, maybe you've been sleeping in too late. I don't know. But Bitcoin, broke a new all-time high, right? We have major coins that are going into the retracement levels. We have Wyckoff accumulation zones that have been broke. I mean, just look at Theta. Look at this. Right here. He's saying, well, when's this going to happen? Look at the chart, man. It's happening now. It's happening right now. Look at this. I've been saying it since all the way down there. You can go back and look. Go back on my channel to the very first Theta video I ever did. It was back here in October. And I did it because I saw, I didn't know for sure, but I saw the probabilities very high that we were going to impulse to the upside because of this Wyckoff structure. So I've been talking about that since going back in October, right? And then since then, I remember it was at 63, 64 cents. So we've gone up almost 500%. And he's saying, well, when's it going to happen? We're up 500%. I don't know when you think, does it have to be up 5,000% for you to think, okay, it's finally happening, right? And to be all fair, it was an XRP video, it wasn't a Theta video. So to be fair, right? But even XRP, right? From its low, right? And I would start from this wave here. XRP is up approximately 112%. When we had that run up to 70 cents, it was about 142%. So not as good as Theta, right? But we're in the process of that happening. Now, he asked, when does that happen? I try to give my viewers as much detail, as much information as I can possibly give without guessing, taking a shot in the dark, right? Because I don't like to do that. Close my eyes and here's a dart in my hand and I'm going to try to throw it at the dartboard. It makes no sense to do that. I know a lot of people like to do these crazy targets. Just look at, especially in the XRP community, there's a lot of charts over the years that have totally degraded technical analysts, and the XRP community knows exactly what I'm talking about. So for the last several years, it's XRP analysts, right? And here's the thing. And all these analysts are being covered on YouTube, not just the channels itself, but like news channels, right? Like Digital Asset Investor or Digital Perspectives or certain people who give chart analysis, not their own, but they're going off the backs of others, and that's fine, right? They're a news guy, they're not a TA guy. But here's the thing: they're not having opposing, challenging views, right? If you're a news guy and you're a crypto guy, are you going to cover the bullish chart or are you going to cover the bearish chart? Chances are, 100% of the time, I've only seen bullish charts of XRP. And none of those charts have played out yet, right? And that's the thing. That's why I think a lot of people, right, in the XRP community, and it's fair, and I'm not knocking it at all. I get it. Can you imagine, like, you don't know how to read charts really, right? You just understand, you have support, resistance, you pull up, you pull back, percentages, the basics, right? But then you have these so-called analysts that are on Twitter, right? And they're analysts, and I think maybe they're pretty good. But they've been wrong saying, oh, XRP is going to hit this number. XRP is going to hit that number. It's going to happen in 2 weeks. I don't do that. That's why I don't give time out, because if I came out and said XRP is going to hit, $5 in the next 30 days, that is anybody who says that stuff has no idea what they're talking about. And they're always wrong, right? They're just taking a guess. And that's what happened in the XRP community. People read these charts and they notice, they're upset, right? I mean, look at this. There's nobody has it worse than the XRP community. I know I'm going off track, but I'm going to get to the analysis. You know how I roll. Look at this chart. It has been torture. First of all, XRP community has not had a bull run. They have never experienced a bull run ever in XRP, unless you were back below 2017, right? That's big blow number one. Another blow is they had to deal with a lawsuit. Another blow is we never had a new all-time high, right? Another blow was we had exchanges delisting the coins, right? And then another blow, we have Bitcoin back at an all-time high, and XRP is still has gone even back to its retracement level. Look at, and that, what does that do? That causes frustration and anger, and they don't understand what is this happening. So they resolve, it has to be an S coin, right? And that's fair. Maybe everybody has their opinion, right? I personally don't think it is, but the price action is the reflection of the currency, right? It doesn't matter how much utility it has. It's all about price. Price is king. Price over everything. It doesn't matter what the coin is. All that matters is the price. That's how people can gauge this is good or this is bad. Look at Dogecoin. It's a meme coin. But it went up, over 50,000% or something like that. So that showed people this thing is the real deal, right? So XRP has not performed that, right? So people, what happened? And all through here, I'm not going to give names, but people who know what I'm talking about on Twitter, and they might be great analysts, but I'm just saying they give out these timetables and they give out these predictions, and they weren't right. They were wrong, right? So all through here, I remember it very clearly. And all through here, especially when we were up here, right? And then we came back down here. Things sort of cooled off a little bit, but then once we started, especially around the SEC ruling, you started seeing these bullish charts come out again. So I sort of reframed from that, and I didn't come out and say, you've seen this before where they go like this, right? They say, oh, this is a 1, 2, and now we're in the middle of 3, 4, and 5, right? You see that all the time, and then what happens? It doesn't happen. It ends up going sideways, right? So people think, well, this thing, it's not doing that. So for my whole stance with XRP is, um, and I've said it many times, I believe we are in this type of structure right here. So this structure is just or I should say, this structure is a massive version of this structure, right? So the person says, well, when's this going to happen? Well, like I said, we're in the process of it happening now. You can see we have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, breakout, right? Okay, fair enough. We have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways. We're waiting for the breakout. Right? Well, when's it going to happen? Well, that's very hard to know. Time is the hardest thing to know when it comes to analysis, when it comes to technical analysts, right? That's where the that's where the big disconnect happens from people who are doing analysis to people who, and there's a lot of people who understand it and get it and all that, but there's some people who have that disconnect because the analysis might be right, but the time horizon is not given, so that it didn't happen next week, it doesn't happen next month, so then it has to be wrong. So then when it happens, they'll say, well, eventually it will be right, right? And I get it. I totally get it, and I respect that view. So that's one of the things we have to understand, right? So my job is not to tell you when, right? Because I don't know when, right? If you want a channel that knows when it's going to happen, please drop it in the link in the description below. I'd love to know about it. The best way we can figure out when it's going to happen is time-based Fibonacci. A lot of people don't know how to use this, by the way. But time-based Fibonacci is right here. So I would take it from the low of this wave back up to the top of this wave, then back down to the bottom of this wave, right? But the thing is, we already superseded all that. So what I would then do is take that off, and I would actually do it from here. So here's the best way to know when. And this is not one way, but there's other ways as well. So we have, where'd you go? Time-based or trend-based? Fib time, okay. So I'll take it from the C19 low. I'll go all the way up to the top, and then I'll go all the way down to the low, right there. So we are approaching, look at this. And I've been waiting to show this. But since I got that comment, I thought, you know what, this is going to be a good time to sort of clear the air, because I know there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way, but maybe they don't comment it, maybe they're trying to be, respectful in that sense, and I get it. But feeling that, like, when's it going to happen? Everybody has that feeling, so it's nothing to be ashamed about. I have it too. I'm like, I want it to happen just as bad as anybody else. So we are coming up on the 1.618 of the time. Now, usually you want it around the 50 to the 618 to the 786 of the bottom, right? Or of that swing high. We did get this. You can see the 1-to-1 extension. We did get this pump, right, to the upside. But we are approaching, and this is interesting, we're approaching the 1.618. So where is that at on a time basis? That's March 21st. That doesn't mean it's going to blast off on March 21st. It's just giving you an idea of something could potentially happen during that time, maybe a bigger breakout, right? So we'll have to wait and see. and continue doing the thing. But I don't really like to do time because it's very hard. But most people, that's the biggest question everybody has, right? People feel like, okay, we know it's going to moon, but we don't know when it's going to moon. I want to know when. And I do too, trust me. So let's get a little bit more in depth here. So let's do this. I'm going to take it from this trend-based fib time. I'm going to take it from the low here, from this wave, all the way to the top. Because remember I said this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is probably a diagonal with a 3-wave pullback, right? So we're going to come up to the top. Okay, so and then I'm going to bring it all the way back down to the bottom here. And what do we have? We have the price. You could see the price, this was the kickoff of that first wave, right? And it happened actually sooner than expected, because usually you want that first wave, which is this one here, to be somewhere in this area here. So it was actually less time. It took less time for that to happen, right? So now, because this could be in what? A 1, 2, and now we're in the middle of that third wave. And that first wave occurred where it should have occurred. So now I'll take all that off, and then I'll do it again. So now we'll do it like this. So here you go. You want your answer? Here it is. And this is the best answer I can give right here. So here's it's very subjective. I can start it from this wave, because this wave was the correction. So I'll start it from here to the top, and then I'll come all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so ready? Here you go. This is your answer right here. So right now, we're in a very prime position. We're in between the 618 and the 786. And look where it happened. It happened right as we broke above this bull market support band, right? So, we did get pretty rejected. We were up there at 74 cents, but XRP loves to do that. It loves to have these big major drawback wicks, and then it continues to pump to the upside. So we got where the reversal was right here. So now the question is, well, how's this wave going to continue to play out? Well, see these lines right here? These lines are sort of your guide of where it could potentially occur. So the latest one would be July 14th. That's actually my dad's birthday, July 14th. And between, I would say, the 786. So between March and July, and you go, well, that's not a good timeline, right? And that's why I don't really like to use it all that much. So what we could do again is do this. I gotta change it here. So I'll put it from the top of here, and then I'll go all the way to the top. The problem is I don't know if this is the top, right? And then I can double click it there. Okay, so then it gives us another area. And if I had to make my best guess, here it is. This is what everybody wants to know. If I had to make my best guess, I would say in April. I would say the month of April looks to me like a beautiful sweet spot of major breakouts. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to break out of the new all-time high and things like that, but I think in April we should see some fireworks. So I don't normally do this, but I'm going to go out on a limb. I could be I could be wrong. But I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say April. With everything I've looked at, this from here to here, the 50, the 618, and the 786, they all line up in April. So I would say April. worst case scenario, May. So between April and May, uh, I think we're going to get some big moves. Now March, I'm looking at sort of consolidation, correction, right? So, but that can change, right? It's subject to change. For example, if XRP continues to break out, right, this month, right? Because actually, let me put April here. So April is right about there. So we're literally right there. I mean, look how close we are, right? So from now to April 1st, I would say probably mid-April. So probably around there. I would want to see a break above this range. Now, the thing is, right? The question is, well, when's this going to happen? Well, right here we have a range down here, right? And this was our accumulation range. And we broke out of the range. We broke out last year, right? XRP, by the way, XRP was one of the first coins to break out of its Wyckoff range, or of its accumulation range. Then you can say, well, if it was one of the first coins to have broken out, then it should have, it should be higher than where it is right now. And I agree, it should, right? But XRP, it likes to torture people. So it's like, well, why even bother? Well, for me, it's not why bother. It's always about percentage potential. And XRP is not a risky play for me because of the company Ripple, because of what they're doing, and also because Ripple XRP stayed in the top 10 despite all odds, right? It had a lawsuit against its name, it had exchanges delisted, and it never broke a new all-time high. 3 strikes, you're out. Any coin would have had 1 strike, it would have been a death blow. But XRP managed to continue to be in the top 10. That, to me, I was like, wow, that shows strength. Most people saw it as weakness. Oh, XRP, it had a lawsuit. I don't want to touch that. Oh, it never broke its all-time high. I don't want to touch that, right? So, when I was actually like, if you're like a football coach, right? And you're looking at the players, and everybody looks at this one player and he goes, he's garbage, he ain't gonna be nothing. But the coach sees something in him that nobody else sees. And in that, you've seen those stories before, right? You've heard of those stories. It could be somebody in the military, it could be somebody in football, it could be, like a gladiator. I think I was watching Spartacus. It's a great series, by the way. It's on what is it called? Amazon Prime. I'd highly recommend. That's a good series. They look at you and they say there's nothing in you, but somebody else sees something, and then that person, whether it be a football player or military, goes on to being one of the best of the best of the best, right? So, and that's kind of like my feelings towards XRP. A lot of people look at it. On the surface, it doesn't look good, but beneath the surface, you start to see all these things that don't make sense and that shouldn't be there, right? It shouldn't be there. Like, XRP didn't have a bull run last year, or last bull run. So how is it still in the top 10? That doesn't make any sense. That's weird, right? And all the exchanges like Coinbase delisted it, and it's still in the top 10. How is that possible? And then it had a lawsuit on its name, and it's still there, right? So that tells me there's something more serious there than we think, right? But on the surface, it looks like, it's crap. But you gotta be smarter, right? You gotta look beyond the lens of what everybody else sees. So to the person, right? I won't, try to respect people's privacy. But look, we broke above the range. We came back down in the range. I thought we could back test it, but I remember this dump here was a big liquidity dump, right? So essentially, we came back down. We held it as resistance. Then we broke back above it, right? We had a back test. right? So to me, I'm looking at this like, he's asking when. Well, we broke above the range. We got the breakout. Then we came back down. We back tested the top of the range, right? And now we have this first wave to the upside, and now we have a 3-wave pullback. So you ask, well, when moon? Well, I think it should happen fairly quickly, right? Now, everybody and their mom has been saying that for the last 2 years. What makes this time any different? I get it. I get it, right? Because people have been promising and saying, I'm not talking about all of crypto. I'm talking about XRP, right? Especially the coin and people who do analysis on Twitter. I mean, you've seen all the charts on Twitter, and every week, every month that goes by, it sort of invalidates another count, right? Well, because, I think obviously they were wrong on their timing. And again, to their credit, it's very hard to know timing. And then also, on the opposing side, they're biased. They are biased, right? I'm biased. I try not to be, but everybody, if you have a position, right, in an asset, you're going to have a bullish bias, and that's fine. But for me, I try to really tame that and look at it as non-biased as I possibly can, right? Not for me, but for me too, but for everybody, right? Because it's not fair if I, for example, let's say I don't hold VeChain, but I do hold XRP. And then coincidentally, right, I'm bullish on XRP, but I'm bearish on VeChain. That's not how I roll. That's not how I roll, right? So, again, the guy's asking when moon, right? Basically, when moon. Well, look at this. We had our bear market. Check, right? That's out of the bag. Then we had our retracement. Boom, done. That's done. Then we had our 1, 2, 3 wave move back down to this back test level, right? Where we then started our reaccumulation. That's check, right? So then we were in our reaccumulation range. We broke out of the range. We back tested the range. And now we have this impulse off the range. And now we have a 3-way pullback, right? So for example, if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So that is a 5-wave move. So we'll label that wave 1. That's wave 1. We have 5 waves. That's wave 1. Then it could be 2 different ways. This whole thing is wave 2, right? So now we're in wave 3, right? Maybe not, but we're in wave 3. So wave 3 is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So then this whole thing would be wave 3. Then we pull back, wave 4, and then we go up for wave 5, right? Or something like that. The way I draw it, it's not going to happen exactly the way I drew it, but I'm giving you a visual representation of what I'm saying here. So this whole move, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this whole thing is 1, right? Now, another way you can look at it is this is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you have an A, B, C, sort of like a flat pattern, right? Right? So that whole thing is wave 2. Now we're in the middle of wave 1. Now we're in wave 1 of 3. So this is wave 1. We have a 3-wave move in wave 2. This is the beginning of wave 1 of 3. So maybe we're pulling back now, and it takes all of March. Maybe going into May, right? I said April or May. I think that would be a good area. Then, right, April, May, right? We pull back all of March, right? Maybe the pullback's done. Again, timing's very hard to know. I can't tell you exactly when. I can give a ballpark, and I've said it out loud, April. So 1, 2, and now we're in the middle of 3, right? And that third wave is going to be the big wave that says, okay, yes, now we're ready. And I think that wave comes April or May. So, yeah, so April or May, I think that this wave right here is going to come. Then we probably run into resistance up here. We pull back, and then we go again. And then the whole thing is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this whole thing is wave 3. So 1, 2, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that whole thing's 3, right? And then we pull back, right? And then we pull back into wave 4, and then we continue up in wave 5. Now, the way I have drawn it there takes us till December of next year, right? So the way I've drawn it, and XRP doesn't like to do these slanted moves. When it moves, it is basically vertical, right? It has these vertical moves, right? You could see vertical, right? This is basically vertical, right? So don't worry about the time on the bottom of how I drawn it. I'm just showing you, it'd probably be a lot steeper. It would probably be more like this, right? With something like this, where we get up pretty steep. So yeah, that's what I'm saying here for XRP and for the timeline of that wave. So let's see. Let me just do this here. Trend-based fib time. I'll put it from the top of here to the top of 1, and then I'll bring it down to the bottom of here. So the way I did it there, so here we go. So the 618, and this is the alternative way, because before I did it down here. But if this is part of a correction, then you want to put it down here. This is an A, B, C, and this is the beginning of wave 1. So then my timeline would be between May and basically between May or the end of May, right? The 786 is in June. I don't think it's going to take that. It could, but I think XRP's already been grueling along enough. And remember, we have the lawsuit. When's that supposed to end, right? I don't know. I have no idea. I wish it would have ended when they ruled it was not a security. I think our U.S. justice system is a joke. I think it's all corrupt. Come on. It took how long? 2-3 years? It should be, court cases should take 2 weeks. You go in there, they examine all the evidence, they know, okay, you're guilty or you're not. Done. Over. Why is it taking so long? It's ridiculous, right? They like to buy time and they do this crazy stuff. Look at this. The SEC came out in December of 2020. So we're almost 4 years into this. And for what? Right? For nothing. It was all a joke, right? So I think it has a good potential of ending this year. That's what they said last year, right? And that's another thing too, how it changes your psychology. And this is the number one reason why people get screwed. So check it out. So, going back to the analysts on Twitter where they post all the charts, right? And they go, oh, it's going to happen, this month or whatever, or XRP is going to moon tomorrow. It's retarded. It's like, why? Don't even listen to that. If anybody has too much cockiness, confidence in their time horizon, I would disregard it. But there's so much of it out there that people listen to it, and then what happens is over time it wears them down, and their psychology becomes sort of twisted. So now anybody who puts out any information, it's wrong. Nope, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's like the boy who cried wolf, right? Everybody knows that, right? The boy who cried wolf. Eventually, they're not going to believe you. And then once that time comes, that's really when the wolf is there, right? So it's like, if somebody, calls 911 and prank calls them, 911 comes out, oh, I'm just kidding. Call them again, 911 comes out, oh, I'm just kidding. Eventually, they're not going to show up. But the time that they don't show up is the time that you really needed them there. And that's exactly the same thing with XRP and any price chart, right? The moment you give up and sell your coins and get out is usually the moment where something happens. And that's exactly what happened back over here. Look at this. You see this wick right here? This right here was people capitulating. So when's it going to moon? It's not going to moon. Oh, it's going to moon. No, it's not. Oh, it's going to moon. No, it's not. Oh, it's going to moon. No, it's not, right? And then people get worn out and they think, oh, now it's never going to happen. It's never, ever going to happen, because I've been hearing it for the last 5 years. Every day, XRP is going to do this. XRP is going to do that. It never happens. It never happens. I'm sick of it, right? And people get fed up, and I totally get it. And trust me, I get it, right? And then what happens, right? They sell it, and then boom, it crashes. And that's what the market makers wanted. They wanted you to capitulate so that they can draw in that liquidity. Look at this candle here. It broke through here. It took out this low. It took out this low. It took out all these lows. They grabbed that liquidity. Then bam, they shot it up to the upside. Now, that could totally happen again, right? That could happen again. So here's our channel, right? And if this happens, I would have to adjust my timeline. But as of now, right? As of now, I'm shooting for April, May. And, if it happens in March, hey, I would rather overshoot than undershoot, because that's the biggest problem people have. They estimate, oh, it's going to happen next week, and then it never happens. And then they just destroyed their credibility. So that's not going to be me. I'm not going to sit here and claim that I know for sure, without a doubt, it's going to happen in April. That is my estimation, right? An estimation. Estimations can change based off of the data that comes in. But as of now, it looks like April or May. But you can see down here, look at this. Here's your channel, right? And then here's your other channel back over here. And look what happened. You're in the channel, you broke below the channel. Everybody's flipping out. Then it goes to the moon. So what if that happens again, where we get something like this, right? Where we come down, right? This is an A, B, C, but it's more like this is an A, B, and then we get C. And then we come all the way down, it happens sometime during the summer, right? Because we know summer months are bearish, right? Then it sort of, flags out, right? Then it starts to moon, just like how it happened back over here, where it broke the channel, then goes. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but the possibility is, there's always a possibility of it happening. So, again, responding to the comment, it's not about knowing exactly when. It's about figuring out the probabilities if it's going to happen. If it's going to happen, right? And if is a higher probability than when. So, I think we got a good chance of it happening soon, right? Now, people tend not to believe that because they've been hearing it for the last several years. Oh, it's going to happen soon, and it doesn't happen. Oh, it's going to happen soon, doesn't happen. But eventually it will happen. And then they'll say, oh, you were right. You were right. But no, like they'll go back, You know who I'm talking about. Um, all the people on Twitter, they'll all come out and say, "See, I was right." And then we'll say, "Well, wait a minute. You said that was going to happen 2 years ago." Well, yeah, it eventually happened, so I'm eventually right, right? And that's the thing. And and in a sense, no, they were wrong because they said it was going to happen at a sooner time and it didn't. But then, in a sense, they were right because it eventually did happen. So that's sort of the sort of the altercation on Twitter, right? People post their charts. It doesn't happen. They say, "See, it didn't happen," and then maybe 3 months later, it happens, and then they'll come out and say, "See, it did happen," and then the person will respond, but it didn't happen when you said it was going to happen. Eventually, it did happen, but eventually, you're going to be right. So, I'm on board. I get it. I totally get it. I'm on the same, uh, you know, I'm on the same train as everybody else when it comes to understanding that. So that's why I don't sit here and claim this or claim that, because I don't know. I can only determine based off what I see, right? And what I see is a finished structure, right? So to their credit, a lot of people did think it was going to happen here, but instead, right? Even some of the greats like blockchain backer, totally respectful guy, right? He was talking about, and it's not any fault to his own. I mean, the whole market was in a bull market, right? Everything was charging to the upside. So why not XRP? It didn't happen, right? So, it's the lawsuit. It's fine. It's just a lawsuit. No, I don't think so. I think it would have not. I think it would have, still not. I think it would have probably gone a little higher, right? But I still think this was the best thing for XRP, right? If XRP went in with the bull run and it had an new all-time high, then it had a bear market, and then it starts its retracement, what looks better? Well, this one looks better, right? But in reality, this is better. Why? Because this is the same structure it created back in the day, right? And in order to get this, look at this monster move up here. It doesn't look like a lot, but that's a huge move right there, right? In order to get that move, you need massive consolidation, right? And a massive base. And remember, XRP has the biggest base in crypto history. So we have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. We're in the range. And once we're in this range, right, once the range is done, we break out. So the same thing happening here. We have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. Now we're in that range. So when this range breaks, and you can argue it already did break, right? That's when we will potentially moon. That's when it looks like that's when it's going to happen, right? So to answer the question, when the range breaks, and to me it already broke and we're in that corrective move, right? So I know I've rambled on, and I'm sorry for doing that, but I just had to. Sometimes you have to come out and you have to clear the air. Now, 99% of the people, they get it. They understand. We're all on the same page. But there's some people who, might need a little bit of explaining. Because it's hard. Like, for example, when you're on Twitter, right, and someone posts a chart, it's hard to explain to that person in a text, right, or responding to a YouTube comment in a text, right, the dilemma, right? So I thought I'd come out, and wasn't planning on it, but I thought I could just, come out and talk about things of that sort. So, yeah. So, like I said, the guy asked when. Well, it's happening now. I mean, look at the whole market here. I mean, if you look at total three or whatever, or we'll just say Bitcoin, right? I mean, it's ripping to the upside. Yeah, but what about the altcoins? Well, I mean, if you look at Theta, it already broke out. So we know XRP likes to go last, right? Here's the range, right? XRP broke out. I mean, if you look at like Theta Fuel, if you look at, I mean, there's a lot of them out there. I mean, look at H bar. Same thing. Look at this. Here's our range. Look, we broke out of that Wyckoff range. So it's been happening. So so when you ask when, well, it's been happening since January of 2023. You're only barely now noticing the effects, and those effects are still not good enough for certain people. They need it to happen now. Let's go. It has to happen tomorrow. It has to happen today, right? If it doesn't happen, then it's never going to happen. And if you say it's going to happen, then yeah, eventually you'll be right. But it's not about being right. It's about positioning yourself for the betterment of your financial situation, right? It's not about, knowing exactly when it's going to happen. Nobody knows exactly when it's going to happen. The point is, will it happen? And to me, the probabilities say yes, it's going to happen. Because, going back, all the way back in October when we were at these lows, these minuscule lows, I was looking through here all through October. I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to decide to really start making YouTube because I believe we got some good times ahead, right? And the good times are not going to last forever. But to me, the good times have been starting for, quite some time now. And, we just recently, over the last couple weeks, broke above its major range. Now, back over here, right, I've been saying we got to get up here. And that's exactly what's been happening. And you can go back and watch all my videos. I've had a consistent analysis, right? Some people jump around a lot. Mine's been the same since down here. We got to get to the retracement levels. Once we get up into the retracement levels, I would say between, $4 and $8, right? At the minimum, $4 to $8 would be a good area for the retracement. Then we can determine, okay, is this going to go down into reaccumulation, then break out? Or are we going to flag out and continue pumping up, right? I mean, hell, there's even a chance that this three-wave move is done now, and then we're going to come down and go into reaccumulation like this, and then break out into a new all-time high, right? So you have a rise, crash, we have a little retracement, then we come down for reaccumulation, then go. That could happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think we need to pull back still a little bit and then eventually get back up here. So it'll be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Get back up here, right? So hopefully that answers, the 1% of people who have that question. But I know deep down inside, we all have that question. Even I have that question. When the hell is this thing going to really go? Well, it's been going for a while. I mean, look at Bitcoin. It started all the way down here in November 2022. So you got November 2023. That's 1 year, right? And then now you have up into, now we're in March. So 2 years and 4 months, it's been consistently going higher, right? So only now for people, oh, it just begun, right? No, well, that's what happened last time. When we broke out, we went into this distribution range and people thought, oh, it was a pullback, right? But no, it was just beginning, right? But actually it was ending. So, we broke above the all-time high and people think, well, it's just barely getting started. And that could be true, but you have to also understand, we've been going up since November of 2022. So this is 1, 2, right? Maybe we're in 3. Maybe we flag out for 4, then we get 5. And that's sort of been my thesis, right? My initial analysis was rise, crash. We go into a retracement, right, around 53K. Then we pull back and we back test this range in here, and we accumulate. Then we continue higher. That didn't happen. Instead, we continued breaking up higher. Then when we got through the retracement level, I said, okay, that's probably not going to happen. Now, right? It's better to be, it's better, like I said, it's better to overshoot than to undershoot. I'm sorry, it's better to undershoot than overshoot, right? So it's better to be conservative than too overly bullish. So, because that has to do with psychology as well. Like imagine you're going on a date or something with a movie, going to the movies or with a friend or whatever, and maybe you've seen the movie, right? And it's really good. It's a really good movie, but you tell your friend, yeah, it's okay, right? And then they go and watch it and they go, whoa, that was really good. But if you would have go in there and say, yeah, this is the best movie ever, it's so great, and then you go watch it, then your friend goes, yeah, it's okay. You see how people do that? You see there how I'm not saying everybody, but sometimes that psychology happens. You kind of want to overshoot, or what is it, under deliver, overshoot, or something like that. So anyway, we got to the all-time high, right? So now my main idea is, okay, this is a 1, 2, this is 3, right? Maybe 3 is not done yet. Maybe 3 goes a little bit higher, right? Then we pull back for 4. Then we go into 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then probably the bull runs over, right? The question becomes, if that's the case, is the third wave completed? Right? So this can be wave 1, wave 2. Now we're in the middle of wave 3, 4, and 5. And this whole thing is 1, 2. All of that's 3, because you have 5 waves in wave 3. Then you pull back for wave 4. Maybe back test the all-time high. Then we go back up. Then the whole thing becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So either one of those options, I think that's usually the case. So if it's neither of those options, then, and this thing, gets rejected up here, then we're probably going down into reaccumulation and then continue going higher. And then we would have a shoulder, a head, and a shoulder, or a cup and a handle. Either way, no matter what happens, the macro front to me is bullish, right? But then it goes back to the question, well, you can say it's bullish, right? But that doesn't, if it doesn't happen in the time that you says it happens, then if it eventually does happen, you can't claim that you were right? But I'm not claiming anything, right? I know a lot of people on, like I said, Twitter and all that, they do that. I'm just giving you my interpretation of what I see in the data. That's it. Point blank, period, the end, right? Rather, it's up for you to decide, is it wrong or is it right? And the way you decide that is not by blindly listening and saying, okay, that's what's going to happen. No, I want you to challenge me and say, because I want you to say, okay, if this is my idea, right? So then maybe go listen to somebody else's idea. And then compare the two ideas and then figure out, or maybe better yet, 5 different people, and compare all 5, compare and contrast. And then determine from your position what seems the most probable. Maybe it's a mixture between mine and somebody else's. Maybe it's somebody else's. Maybe mine's garbage, right? Maybe it doesn't make sense. So, I think when it comes to that type of comment, I think certain people, they've been hurt in the market. They've been hurt, and a lot of people have been hurt massively. especially in the last bull market, bear market, right? They got crushed. Everybody has lost money in crypto. Everybody, at some point, or another, everybody's portfolio is down. The difference between being down and up is the time it takes to recover, right? So that time, it can wear you down. It makes you feel like, oh man, this sucks. Like, let's say your portfolio's at 10,000, right? And then it goes up to 15,000. But then it gets crushed all the way down to 6,000. And then it stays there for years. That could that could mess you up, right? So then you're like, and you're sort of scrambling. You're anticipating it. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. It's got to be faster. It's got to be quicker, right? And then it doesn't happen. So then you hear people online say, "Oh, it's bullish. It's going to happen in 2 weeks." And then that person gets excited, and then it doesn't happen. And then they get even more angry and more frustrated. So then every person who puts a chart out, they are the enemy, because their subconscious remembers that person, that their subconscious remembers the last person who put a chart out. I was disappointed, right? It's all about your expectations. Remember the saying, expectations lead to resentment, right? So don't ever expect anything from my channel. Don't ever expect anything from anybody's channel. Only expect what you believe is true, right? Everybody has that gut instinct. What is yours telling you? What is your gut telling you? Right? Don't listen to me. Don't listen to people on Twitter who post their charts, especially people who say, "Oh, it's going to happen next month or in 2 weeks," right? My idea, right, based on time Fibonacci, unless they can't give any arguments on why, right? I've given some arguments on why I think for XRP specifically, I think April, May would be a good timeline. Now, if that doesn't happen, hey, it didn't happen, right? It's not the end of the world. So yeah, that's basically. I wanted to get that off my chest, because I've been thinking about this long before I had my channel, because I would see other people get grilled, right? Like I would scroll through Twitter, right? Everybody, and then you see a chart, and then you look at the comments, and that person is getting insanely grilled, like torched. And you kind of feel bad for the person, but then you kind of don't, because he's been consistently putting out these crazy bullish theories, right? But then other channels, right? Because the other channels out there, right? They don't want to talk to people like me, right? Because I'm more of that neutral party, right? They want to talk to the people who put out the craziest bullish, right? Like the thumbnails, right? Like going back to Twitter, right? And even Blockchain Backer agrees. He doesn't do that. It's ridiculous. People put out these targets, $300,000 Bitcoin coming in 3 months, or all the moon boys, all the hype, the super hype. Why do they do that? Because it's clicks. It's not about being right. It's about clicks and views and ad revenue, right? It's about how many impersonations can they get? How many retweets can they get? How many people will talk? How many different YouTube channels will talk about it? How many crypto websites will write articles about it? Expert analysis says XRP $10 in March, right? They keep saying that. How many articles have you heard over the last freaking 5 years about XRP, and it never ever happens, right? That's because reality, it's all BS at some point. And when I say BS, I mean timing. I'm not talking about the analysis part. I'm talking about the timing part, right? Because if somebody says XRP is going to hit, we have a $10 target on XRP, then that person perceives it like, well, is it going to happen tomorrow? Is it going to happen next week? No, right? The point is, it'll eventually happen. But then it comes back to say, well, if it eventually happens, then that means you'll eventually be right. And that's so, kind of true. That's kind of true, right? And, I mean, it really it comes down to this. It can go up, it can go down, it can go sideways. So, um, you know, pick which one you think. Okay, well, I've ranted on way too long. Way too long. If you made it this far in the video, congratulations. You are the few. You are a rare breed, and I appreciate you. Because you get it. You understand, right? And everything I said, I'm not talking to any one person directly. I'm just talking on the broad spectrum of what we're talking about here. And it has nothing to do with me personally. It's just the atmosphere that I've been witnessing over the last 5 years on crypto Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, right? Because I see it. I just because somebody doesn't comment or post doesn't mean they don't see it. And I see a lot of it. And I see a lot of love and support from people, not talking about myself and my channel. I'm just talking about in general. But I also see a lot of vicious hatred, criticism, and people have the right to express their feelings. But I just wanted to explain why those feelings and what stems from those feelings, because usually people have two sides, right? Or people have one side. They either on the analyst side or they're on the criticism side. I'm kind of on both sides, right? Because I can understand what the analyst is saying, but I can also understand why that person is frustrated, right? Think about what that person has gone through over the last couple of years, right? And not to credit them, but a lot of times they're just misinformed. They don't understand certain things, right? But some of them do, and some of them are just calling out the BS hopium and the BS hype. And trust me, there's a lot of it out there. So it's sort of like, depending on the analyst, depending on the situation, there's a right and there's a wrong. And I'm just here to, point it out, because it's not fair to certain people who have real legitimate analysis and they get grilled on because they might have been wrong. Or the worst part is the person interpreting the data is interpreting it wrong, right? So anyway, the person asked, when is it happening? Well, I think it's been happening, and it's been happening for a long time. Well, actually not a long time, but it's been happening quite a while. And if you look at theta, it's broken above the 200 week, right? So we have this range and we broke out of the range. So boom. So he asked, I keep saying it. He asked, well, when's it happening? Well, look, it just happened. Where you been? Right? Look at Bitcoin. It's at an all-time high. Again, to his credit, he was talking about XRP, but remember, XRP likes to move last, right? And I've always talked about, look at this. And then here I'm going to prove myself even more. Look at this. He says, I'll bring up theta here, right? And also XRP is the same thing. But look what Bitcoin did. He says, well, when's it going to happen? Well, look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin went all the way up. And then once it went into this distribution, that's when theta decided to moonshot. See, Bitcoin's going up. And this goes to the question too, like, well, how come Bitcoin's going out into a new all-time high, but my altcoin is still sitting there at nothing, right? Well, look at the previous history. Bitcoin went all the way up. It had this big distribution zone, sideways. Once it went sideways, that's when theta moonshotted to the upside. The Bitcoin bull market was over with, and that's when it decided to go. So maybe that could happen now, right? right? So I would say, well, they say, well, when's XRP going to moon? As soon as Bitcoin's done mooning. So that's my final answer. People want to know, when is XRP going to moonshot? When Bitcoin is done moonshotting. But that might not be until 100K or 200K. Yeah, totally could happen. That might not be till next year, right? So, anything's on the table, right? And then people say, well, up or down. It is. It's always up or down. We're just trying to figure out what probability is most likely. And since we broke out into a new all-time high, the probability is higher that we will continue to move up to the upside, right? So I said on the macro, we're bullish, but on the micro, right? I would say in the last week, I've been saying we need a correction, and boom, over the last 3 days, we've been getting a pretty harsh, or I shouldn't say harsh, but a much needed correction, right? So we pull back, and then we probably will continue higher. Then once Bitcoin stalls out, right, that's probably when the alts will really start to move. So we'll have to wait and see how all of this happens. I don't have a cut clear answer for you, but hopefully that helped a few people out there who had, similar, questions, right? Because a lot of times Bitcoin likes to go up, right? And then the alts are barely going up. But if we can chill out for a little bit and continue higher, as we range, maybe we get a little range too. But I think it'll be more of a pullback with a bigger move to the upside, right? Because going back over here, when Bitcoin goes sideways, that's when the alts really start to catch up. So, there's a lot of different ways this can happen. So we'll have to see how it happens. But the point is, when's it going to happen? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Do you think Warren Buffett, think about this. If you want to be a billionaire, you got to think like a billionaire. You got to think like a millionaire. Does Warren Buffett buy stock and then sit on his couch and think, when's it going to moon? When's it going to moon? You said it was going to moon yesterday. It didn't moon. Oh my God, why is it not mooning? No, he doesn't care, because he knows he's positioned in a way where it doesn't matter if we moon tomorrow or the next day or next year. The point is, we're bullish, and we're eventually going to get there. And I'll leave you with this quote right here. I mean, one of the greatest investors of all time. The stock market is a device. Any market. The market is a device for transferring money or wealth from the impatient to the patient, right? So if you're wondering, when is it going to moon? When's it going to moon? Look, we all have that question. We want it to happen now. But for me, and my position is, I've been talking about it since October. I said, look, we need a retracement. We need a bullish retracement. Since then, the market's been up 100, 200, some 300, some 500%. So to answer your question, it's happening now, right? But, specifically XRP, well, go back to, if Warren Buffett buys XRP, do you think he's going to worry about when it happens? No. And I mean, especially if I'm an old man, if I'm in my 70s, I'm going to really hope it happens. But I think most people in most people in crypto are, I would say the majority are less than 50, less than 40, right? I would say they're the more younger crowd. And the younger you are, the more impatient you become, right? You want it to happen now. You want that instant gratification. It's not like back in the 90s. That's when I grew up, is in the 90s. We didn't have we had a lot of video games and stuff, but we didn't have social media. We didn't have those, I call those YouTube short videos or the TikTok short videos. That's poison for your mind, because you scroll and you're getting like that instant dopamine, instant gratification hit. And studies show it causes more depression. It causes people not to go outside. It causes problems mentally. So you're used to this world where everything's on a schedule, everything happens on a specific time, right? But the thing is, people don't like what they can't control. Nobody controls the market except the market makers. You cannot control the market. So that gives you anxiety, right? Because you can control your phone. You can control what you watch on YouTube. You can control what video games you play, or where you go, what you do, right? But you cannot control the price. And that's why people are they get bent out of shape. And to their credit, they don't fully have an understanding or a grasp of how the markets work. And markets move based off liquidity, right? Markets chase liquidity. So if the market is pausing out, which I've been calling for it to happen for quite some time, then, what happens is people take profits, supply enters the market, price comes down, and then new buyers step up. And that's how you build layers and layers of support, right? But here's the thing. And the only reason I'm making this video, and yes, it's long, but I think it's totally worth it. The only reason I'm making this video is to sort of calm the nerve, right? Everybody's anxious. Everybody wants it to happen now. But if you want to be a millionaire, maybe you already are a millionaire. If you want to, I'm not even close, right? I'm not even close. I hope to be one day. I hope to be one day. But if you want to be a millionaire, if you want to be a billionaire, you got to think like one. And does Mark Cuban wonder? Well, you said Bitcoin was going to moon next week, and it didn't moon, right? And by the way, I'm not speaking for myself. I'm speaking to for other people out there who post charts, not me, right? Because I never give the win part, right? I give, and that goes back to the thing too. Like, I can tell you the destination, I just can't tell you the route, right? So I think the other comment said, well, you just gave all the scenarios, so one is bound to be right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So your job is to figure out which one of those is most likely, and you can play to that advantage, right? So I'll just show you. Here's one of the comments. He goes, "This is a well-made video." I appreciate that. Thank you, man. I do appreciate that. And I'm not knocking the guy. I respect all comments. I'm not knocking them, but I'm just showing the comment, just an example. He says, "This is a very well-made TA video, but the TA is all nonsense." He said that because he said, "You literally just said every single scenario might happen, and one is bound to be right." Well, I didn't say that specifically. I say that scenarios occur, and we have to talk about it, right? We have to figure out which ones are going to be. For me, I've been calling for a retracement, like I said, since October. That's the destination. And that has been on track. That has been awesome, pinpoint, nailed it. Now, the route has also been on track, right? Going back to theta and the Wyckoff accumulation, going back to the inverse head and shoulders, going back to the Elliott wave count, going back to the bull market support band, going back to the back test of the bull market support band. That route, that whole thing has been pretty much spot on, right? So the route and the destination has been right so far. But as we inch our way into people don't understand this, as we get closer to those retracement levels, then more options happen, more scenarios start to occur, right? So he says, and then I responded. I said, look, the macro says we're going higher. And he goes, yeah, but when? You always say we are going up if you don't give a timetable. Yeah, I've been saying we've been going up since October, and we have been. So I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, look at this massive pump. I've been saying it since all the way down here at 64, 63 cents, right down here. So ever since then, I've been saying we need to get up here. And that's exactly what's happened, right? So now here's the issue though. Once we get up here, then more scenarios start to happen. Because the hardest part to get right is what happens in the retracement levels, right? So if I pull Fibonacci on here, and I'll put it on log scale just to show. But look, on log scale, we're at the 50%, right? So, when we get into the 50, the 618, the 702, a lot can happen. Many things can happen. Different types of consolidation patterns, different types of, correction patterns. Different. Maybe it's a flat, right? Maybe it's, there's a lot of different things, right? And depending on what those things are, depends on how we continue going up into the route that we're on. But the destination has never changed. The destination has been the same. It's been the same, right? So as we get closer to these upper targets, these retracement levels, it becomes more challenging. And you ask any analysis, right? So my whole thought process is, if we can get through these retracement levels, then we can get through this all-time high. Then you could say, yeah, but when's that going to happen? I don't know. It's happening now. We're in that process. We're in the process of it happening. It doesn't happen overnight, right? So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Drop a comment below. Am I wrong? Am I right? Am I crazy? Am I off basis? Or, explain to me, because I'm not just talking when I'm, maybe you can sense a little frustration, but this frustration has been building up for years, not from myself, but from other analysis that I see, like certain newscasts. You have the TA guys on YouTube, and then you have the news guys on YouTube. The news guys, they go over articles, they go over Twitter posts, and they say, this guy said this, but then it never happened. And then they say, well, that means he's wrong. And then there's a whole debate on what the truth is. So this video is to sort of clear the air and explain that truth, but then also explain it through my side as well. So, my whole thing has been 1, 2, we're in the middle of 3, we get 4, we get 5. Or we have a rise, crash, retrace, we get into the retracement levels, and then we go down to reaccumulation, then we moon, right? Like I said, so many different things can happen in the retracement levels, right? But now it lies with probabilities. Where the probabilities lie with Bitcoin. What did Bitcoin do? It broke all-time high, but what does Bitcoin need? It needs a correction, right? I've been talking about it last week, and what's been happening? We got a correction, right? I mean, if you look at Bitcoin, I said yesterday, we need a flat pattern, right? It looks like a flat, right? Let me go to the 1 hour chart. Look at that. And it's starting to dump again. So here's your A, B, and now we have C. Now C can come all the way down here. Maybe C's already finished. Maybe we come down, we get an expanded flat. But like I've been talking about all through up here, I said it looks very corrective. It looks like we need a correction. It should happen soon, and now it's happening. So I think once Bitcoin's done correcting, right, whenever that may be, because like I said, it could be a flat, it could be a 1, 2, and now we're going up for 3, but maybe we have further to go. So we have to play it by ear, right? There's 3 different flats: regular, expanded, or a running flat. So it could be a running flat, right? We have this 3-wave move up, and then bam, we got hit again. So it could be 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe we get 5, right? And then we go. So I think, like last time, we need time. It takes time for these corrections to happen, especially when you go up pretty massively, right? Like I've been talking about. The last time Bitcoin hit an all-time high, it created a flat. Here's XRP, by the way. It's balancing on this trend line. That's what I've been watching. And I think once we hold this trend line, we continue to backtest the bull market support band, I think we're going to get some big velocity. And I think it's coming soon. So look at this. This is Bitcoin. This is the 2017 all-time high. Look what happened. The price broke to the upside, then it came all the way back down. ABC in a flat. Look at 2024. Maybe that's the same thing that's happening, right? Let's look at 2020. This 2020 is the same thing. We had an A, B, C, and then boom, it went. So the last 3 times, or I should say the last 2 times we broke to a new all-time high, this is what's happening. And look, it's happening again on the time frame we've got. So, and that's another reason why I think, we needed a flat pattern. So hopefully that helps. And as far as a short-term update on Theta and XRP, well, like I've been saying also, we had this high, and then we have this three-wave move up. We got rejected. It looks like an A, B, and now it looks like we're getting C. So we have 1, 2, maybe this is 3, then we get 4, then we get 5. Or maybe it's a running flat and it's done now, right? So we'll see what next week brings. It is Friday. Markets volume go down, right? So we'll see what Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday brings. So we'll get much more of a clear answer Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But like I've been saying last week and kind of the week before, is we sort of need a correction. I've been cheering for one and thinking one's coming soon. And ever since here, which is when? March 4th, that's when Theta started its correction, March 4th. So A, B, C. This whole thing down, this whole thing up, and this whole thing back down is one big correction, right? So maybe, and it can get complex too. We can have 3, we can get 5, or another 3, and then another 5, right? Something like that, where we have a 1, 2, and then we get out of here. So it could be a range for a little while. But like I said, this is a good thing. We want this to happen, because when you zoom out, it doesn't matter what. Do you think, like I said, do you think Warren Buffett gives a crap if it's in a flat? No. All he cares about is where is it going to go? And I can answer that to an extent. I think it's still going higher in the retracement levels. But sometimes people get confused. They think, well, since I say that, it has to happen now. No, it doesn't. Markets don't move like that. It could take time. It could take a couple weeks for this correction to work itself out. Look at the last time we had a correction. We started correcting right here. We started correcting right here all the way down to about there. That took 41 days for that correction to end, right? So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. I got rambled on too long. That'll do it for this video. I appreciate all you guys, and if you can, it'd be so awesome if you can like and comment on the video. Again, this is not really a TA per se video. This is just me clearing the air about what I see in general for across the board, because I've been witnessing this for years. People post a chart, and then there's a big misconception, a big disconnect between analysis and time. And that's sort of the thing that, I wanted to talk about. And I'm not picking sides. I'm not saying the analysts are right and the person is wrong. I'm neutral. I'm on both. I can see it. I can place myself in anybody's shoes. You always want to look at it through other people's perspective, right? It's all about flipping it in reverse and looking at it through other people's lens and understanding their frustrations, understanding their and giving them the respect that they should have. Maybe they don't quite understand, and that's the whole point of the video. I'm here to sort of explain it's okay to be frustrated, it's okay to be upset, right? But at the end of the day, we've been ripping it, right? I mean, Bitcoin's at an all-time high. There's nothing to be upset about. I mean, the market is healthy, it's back to life, it's recovering, right? In the short term, we have a correction. It's okay, not a big deal. But I think overall, the macro is bullish, right? And when I say bullish, everybody wants to know, yeah, but when? It's happening now, guys. It's happening now. So anyway, if you wanted to leave a tip I got a tip jar here. If anybody wanted to support the stream, that's always highly appreciative. And If you have any coins you want me to look at in the next rapid fire session, drop them below. I'll take a look. And yeah, other than that, I think, we got, like I've been saying, we need a correction. It's here. That's a good thing. Allow it to work itself out. So, when price moves up higher, 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 it's like a dopamine hit. It's like an endorphin, an adrenaline rush, and you want it to keep happening. It's like a drug. You need more, 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 right? But then what happens is when we have a correction, people go into withdrawal, right? And now you're sort of in withdrawal, like, oh man, I don't like this feeling, right? But I'm here. That's why I'm making this channel also, is to say it's fine. We're fine. This is a good thing. This is healthy, right? So, anyways, guys, not financial advice. Everything I said, it's up for debate. My big target, my time target, very hard to know, but time target, I would say April or May. So we'll see how that works. We'll see how that works out. But that's what I have for you now. So, anyways, guys, take care. Have a good weekend, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.